White guilt.
Let's talk about it.
The whole race is getting portrayed in a different way has started to become one of my pet peeves. I've been noticing it more. It started with an innocent thing. I won't use his name, even though this shines him in a good light, I think. But still, yeah, I won't drag him in. But one of my author friends was writing. We were writing a novel together. He's had 3 since then. Mine's still in a drawer. But still, he, as we were talking, he was describing people, and he asked me specifically about black characters in his stories and wanting to make sure that they had the right voice. And, it was, again, I thought it was very ahead of things, and it was awesome. And I noticed in his books for the first time, not alone by any means, that if someone was black, he would say that they were black. And if he didn't, they were white people. And that white was just the default. And I've started noticing this a lot more, right? Harry Potter, I think at some point, what was it, the musical or whatever, where they made Hermione black, and they're like, Hermione's not black. There's really not any place. Now people are going to be like, but on page 74 they play, I don't know. But like, but there's really no place from what I understand that said specifically like, white ass Hermione was doing whatever thing that day, right? Like,
Right.
So you could say that every character in every book is black if you want to, except too many authors will just 400 people. Oh, and then Johnny came in and as a black guy, his skin was blah blah blah. You're like, that's the one black guy in this whole story, right? And so you start seeing that. But then I started noticing, and so that was this innocent-ish place. And I'm not saying everybody's got to be like, there was 3 white guys and 1 Mexican guy, and right? Like,
Right.
I don't know if we need that, but maybe we do. But then I started seeing the difference in news stories, and so you would see things. I'm not going to remember any of the exact examples, but it was things like the photos that they would show. So if a black guy mugged someone, it is their the worst mug shot they can find, or a picture of them when they were on Facebook and drunk. And then if a white guy mugs someone, they show a picture and say that he was down on his luck, and then there's a picture of him from his school yearbook, with his tie on. And I was like, oh, interesting that they did that one time. Oh no, and that time too. Oh, and that time, and that time. And you just start seeing that, black people get portrayed in like their worst, the worst picture, the worst timetable, the worst sort of thing, and said like, a gangster did such and such. White person does the exact same thing, and it is this, poor guy or unsung hero or, whatever.
Right.
And so this is happening. I don't know if it's happening more and more. I'm noticing it more and more. But what is good is that it's being called out more and more. And that's actually,
Yeah.
kudos to white people. Because I think when black people pointed those things out, like none of this is new.
Right.
Old black comedians, Red Fox, Richard Pryor, they would call out like police violence against black people constantly, and we all laugh, that's great, and then we go home and safe. It took white people pointing out, look what's happening to these black people, and filming it and saying that they were appalled before other white people started to listen. So I think there's something to be said for this starting to get called out. But it's still a real thing of this mislabeling of things that, one race does as noble or, downtrodden or a sad moment in their history, or, with Brock, whatever his name, he just, a poor kid had made a bad decision, and, after this abhorrent rape, and then black guy arrested for smoking weed in a parking lot is, gangster arrested for. And so, yeah, I think this labels they're the thing that make me the maddest, probably, because it's propaganda. It's exactly what it is.
And so, and what is it? Just it's just keeping the public thinking of other.
Yes.
Like it's just like, and keeping people. Is there something about like keeping Americans, people like feeling unsafe around Black people? Like, is there something that we gain from, because we have to gain something, or why would we do it, right?
Yeah.
So what?
I wish I knew if it were intentional or not, right? I would love to be able to go to find, and you know what? Maybe that's what we do, right? I would love to go to the person who wrote the copy for this news thing and say, hey, did you call this guy gangster because you think that? And this is just like you weren't aware that you did it? This is your own inherent bias? Or are you trying to keep white people disliking and being afraid of Black people? Now, would they ever tell me the truth? I don't know. But it would be nice to know, because it's hard to know if that is a person who is ignorant or a person who is quite literally putting forth terrorism, because that's what it is, right? It is putting this horrible face on a group of people to strike fear in the hearts of everyone else, right? And so if you are going to write copy that makes it seem like all Black people who get arrested are horrible wife beaters, right? And then white people are just a person who snapped or had a bad day or whatever. That's got to be intentional.
Right.
But also maybe it's not. People are ignorant. So it's just hard to tell. My guess is that it's intentional, and man, how is that?
Yeah.
But also, maybe it is also an inherent belief that a lot of people have. I mean, people still cross the street when I walk by sometimes, or lock door. I work downtown. I have been walking past a car and heard the door lock. Like it's still a thing that happens. I don't know. They get mugged by a Black guy once. I don't know.
Right.
Or the news just told them like Black people are dangerous. Like they're coming for your kids, right? So I don't know if this is a legit fear that they have, but also did they never get mugged by a white guy then, right? Like there's this sort of forgiveness that is given for your own group.
Yeah.
Another group does it once, and this becomes their thing.
For most of Americans, we're just receiving that information, and it's going in subconsciously, so we're not necessarily understanding what we're taking from that, except that we are taking that Black men are scarier or whatever.